You've felt it your entire life. That subtle but unshakable sense of being separate. Not in the obvious ways. You're not a social outcast. You're not incapable of blending in when necessary. But beneath the surface, there's something deeper, something almost primal, that sets you apart from the world around you. You don't hate people. You don't even dislike them. But when you're in a crowded room, surrounded by laughter and conversation, you feel like an observer. Someone watching a play where everyone else knows their lines except you. And the strangest part? You don't want to learn them. This isn't about introversion or social anxiety. It's not about being a loner or a sigma male. Those labels are too small, too crude, to capture what you truly are. This is about a fundamental mismatch between your soul and the world you were born into. 1. Solitude isn't your retreat, it's your throne. For most people, solitude feels like a punishment. The absence of noise and stimulation becomes unbearable. So they scramble to fill every quiet moment with distractions, doom scrolling through endless content, engaging in shallow conversations, or chasing fleeting approval from others. To them, silence is something to be avoided at all costs, a void they rush to fill out of fear of facing their own thoughts. But for you, solitude is something entirely different. It's not just a coping mechanism or a short-term break from the chaos. It's a sacred space, a space where you don't diminish, but expand. You don't feel lost in the silence. You feel found. When the noise of the world fades away, when you're left alone with nothing but your own presence, that's when you feel most aligned with who you truly are. This connection to solitude isn't a lifestyle preference. It's something deeper, something instinctual. In silence, your mind doesn't wander aimlessly. It sharpens. In stillness, your thoughts don't scatter, they crystallize. Alone, away from the constant input of the external world, the fog clears and your internal world begins to speak in ways it never could before. This isn't escapism. It's evolution. And while many men unravel without constant distraction, unable to bear even a moment of quiet introspection, you thrive in the void. Your ability to sit with yourself, to find clarity in stillness, gives you a power others can't quite understand. To them, your comfort with solitude is unsettling, something strange, maybe even threatening. They label you distant, cold, or closed off. But what they're really doing is projecting their discomfort, using judgment to defend against a truth your presence quietly reveals. They need the world to feel whole. You don't. 2. The illusions that enslave others leave you cold. Modern society is built upon a set of illusions so deeply ingrained that most people mistake them for truth. 3 addictions drive the machine: the lust for power, the hunger for status, and the worship of beauty. These are the pillars upon which the modern world balances. The unspoken commandments that dictate how people live, compete, and measure their worth. Look around, and the evidence is everywhere. You'll see people clawing for promotions they don't even want, inflating their resumes and reshaping their personalities just to climb a ladder that leads to nowhere. You'll watch them craft picture-perfect versions of themselves online, hoping likes and follows will fill the gnawing emptiness they carry inside. You'll see the luxury cars, the designer clothes, the vacation selfies, all trophies in a game no one remembers agreeing to play. But not you. You never signed up for the hollow theater, where others see status. You see smoke and mirrors. Where they see achievement, you see distraction. It's not that you lack ambition. It's that your ambition isn't for sale. You understand the truth. The game is rigged, and playing it only ensures you stay trapped in it. You don't need to sit at the top of the corporate hierarchy to know it won't bring peace. You don't need superficial conquest to feel desirable or powerful. You don't need luxury goods to validate your existence. Why? Because you've already seen past the bait. You know that real power doesn't come from things that can be taken from you. It comes from within, quiet, unshakable, and self-contained. And that truth makes you dangerous. Your refusal to participate in society's charade doesn't go unnoticed. In fact, it unsettles people. When you don't respond to their status games, when you aren't moved by their displays of wealth or their thirst for recognition, it throws them off. Your indifference reflects back the hollowness of their pursuits, and they don't know how to process that. So they label you arrogant, cold, detached. But those accusations are nothing more than their discomfort manifesting. What you are in truth is free. And in a world where most people live shackled to illusions, a man who cannot be chained is the most threatening presence of all. 3. The weight of ancient eyes in a young face. There is a certain weight to your presence, an unspoken gravity that contradicts your age. Before you even open your mouth, people can feel it. A quiet intensity in your gaze, a depth that suggests you've seen far more than your years would allow. It isn't the fatigue of someone overworked or the apathy of someone disillusioned. No, it's something deeper. It's the presence of an old soul, a person who carries the echoes of lifetimes in a world that barely remembers yesterday. This quiet knowing sets you apart. While others your age were fixated on fleeting trends, memorizing pop lyrics, chasing likes, and crafting personas to fit the latest social mold, you were elsewhere, observing patterns most people never notice. You weren't hypnotized by the glitter of modernity, the influencer charades, the outrage echo chambers, the emotionally staged performances. They never had a hold on you. They slid past you, irrelevant and insubstantial, as if your very being rejected their artificial nature. And others sense this, even if they can't name it. Strangers often confide in you, drawn by an instinct they don't understand. They sense in you a kind of sacred stillness, as though your presence grants them temporary access to something real. The elderly, in particular, treat you differently, not as a youth, but as an equal, a fellow traveler who has walked roads they recognize. It's as if your soul wears the dust of forgotten centuries. This isn't just wisdom, which should be taught or earned through experience. What you carry is older than wisdom. It's the quiet authority of someone who's seen the rise and fall of empires, metaphorically or otherwise, and carries that knowledge not in words, but in essence. Your silence holds weight. It doesn't seek to fill space, but to honor it. It's not empty. It's rich with unspoken histories, the kind of stories too vast or sacred for language. In a world obsessed with speed, noise, and novelty, your presence is jarringly still and ancient. And that contrast between your young face and your ancient eyes is what makes you unforgettable. 4. The haunting of unlived potential. You move through life with the unshakable sense that you're always just outside the life you're meant to live, as though you're standing in the wings of your own story, watching scenes unfold without ever quite stepping into the spotlight. Everything around you, the routines, the job, the small talk, the predictable milestones, feels temporary, like filler content in a book whose real plot has yet to begin. There's a persistent undercurrent of restlessness, a quiet voice inside that refuses to be silenced, constantly whispering that something greater awaits. But this isn't ambition in the way most people understand it. You're not chasing promotions, applause, or gold stars on some invisible scoreboard. It's not about status or recognition. It's deeper, more instinctual. It's a sense that you are forged for something more, not built, not trained, but forged in fire, in silence, in solitude. Even if you can't name it, you can feel it in your bones, a calling that is yet to be spoken, but refuses to be ignored. This gnawing awareness brings its own kind of discomfort. The traditional markers of success, career advancement, relationships, even personal victories, feel strangely hollow, like trying on clothes that almost fit, but never quite sit right. Even love, when you find it, often carries a faint sense of impermanence, as if it too is a chapter rather than the story. No matter how high you climb or how much you accomplish, each success is accompanied by a quiet, insistent whisper. This isn't it. Keep going. And yet, this restlessness is not a flaw. It's a signal, an evolutionary edge. Throughout history, the ones who shaped the world, the artists, the thinkers, the rebels, the visionaries, they all carried the same hunger. They were not satisfied with simply mastering the games of their time. They weren't born to play. They were born to reinvent, to question the rules, break the patterns, and introduce something entirely new. So while others may find comfort in settling down, you remain awake, alert, haunted not by failure, but by the future calling you forward. Not everyone hears that call. Even fewer answer it. But you were never meant to sleep through your potential. You were meant to chase the echo of something vast, something eternal, until it finally takes form. 5. The unconscious gravity of your presence. You've experienced it more times than you can count. The subtle yet unmistakable shift in energy when you walk into a room. There's no need for theatrics. You don't announce yourself with bravado or force attention with charm. There's nothing performative about you. And yet, people notice. Heads turn. Conversations fall to mid-sentence. And eyes hold your gaze just a moment too long before flickering away in discomfort or intrigue. This reaction isn't something you cultivate. It's not about looks, clothing, or status. What radiates from you isn't something that can be learned or copied. It comes from within. It's the quiet confidence of a man who has seen behind the curtain the world and didn't flinch. It's the steady calm of someone who no longer needs validation, applause, or permission to stand exactly where he is. That inner stillness, that complete lack of neediness, sends ripples through every space you enter. And paradoxically, that silence is more unsettling to others than any display of power could ever be. Most people are used to navigating a world of visible levers, status cues, emotional triggers, social hunger. They know how to manipulate, how to persuade, how to seduce. But with you, none of those usual tactics apply. You're a locked door with no keyhole, an enigma without an entry point. There's nothing obvious to exploit, no angle to work, and that makes people deeply uneasy. In a world driven by illusion and performance, your presence is disruptive. Not because you try to be, but because you aren't trying at all. You simply are, and that unshakable sense of self exposes the fragile scaffolding others rely on to feel whole. While most men can be moved by sex, by status, by the desperate pull of approval, you remain still unmoved, unreadable. And nothing is more threatening to a world built on manipulation than a man who cannot be controlled. Final note, the invisible sovereign's path. What you carry within you isn't a flaw to be fixed or a weakness to be masked. It's an ancient edge, sharpened over lifetimes, honed in silence and solitude. In a world obsessed with noise, spectacle, and surface-level validation, your quiet presence is not just rare, it's revolutionary. While others clamor for attention, broadcasting their worth with volume and theatrics, you move differently. You don't need to be seen to be sovereign. You don't need to speak loudly to be heard by those who matter. Yours is the path of the invisible sovereign, the one who leads without needing followers, who influences without needing recognition. Your silence holds weight. It cuts through the chaos like a blade of stillness, unsettling to some, magnetic to others. And that stillness is power, not the kind that demands, but the kind that commands. So stay grounded in who you are. Stay lethal, not in aggression, but in clarity and calm, in your refusal to be pulled into games that don't resonate with your spirit. And above all, keep listening, not just to words, but to what isn't being said. Because in those quiet spaces, beyond the noise, you'll find your true direction. You were never meant to follow the path. You are the path. Do you resonate with the ideas I shared in this video? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in more content about Sigma males, explore the other videos on this channel.